This is the Helicopter Flying Handbook. We're on Chapter 14. We're going to be on page 9 of 18, Risk Management. All right. Risk management is a formalized way of dealing with hazards. It is a logical process of weighing the potential costs of risk from hazards against the possible benefits of allowing those risks from hazards to stand unmitigated. It is a decision-making process designed to identify hazards systematically, assess the degree of risk, and determine the best course of action. Once risks are identified, they must be assessed. The risk assessment determines the degree of risk, negligible, low, medium, or high, and whether the degree of risk is worth the outcome of the planned activity. If the degree of risk is acceptable, the planned activity may then be undertaken. Once a planned activity is started, consideration must be given whether to continue. Pilots must have pre-planned, viable alternative available in the event the original flight cannot be accomplished as planned. Two defining elements of risk management are hazard and risk. A hazard is present condition, event, object, or circumstance that could lead to or contribute to an unplanned or undesired event such as an accident. It is a source of danger. For example, binding in the anti-torque pedals represent a hazard. Risk is the future impact of the hazard that is not controlled or eliminated. It is the possibility of the loss or injury. The level of risk is measured by the number of people or resources affected, the exposure, the extent of possible loss, the severity, and the likelihood of loss probability. All right. A hazard can be real or perceived condition, event or circumstance that a pilot encounters. Learning how to identify hazards, assess the degree of risk they pose, and determine the best course of action is an important element of a safe flight. 4 risk elements. During each flight, decision must be made regarding events that involve interactions between the 4 risk elements: the pilot in command, the pick, the aircraft, the environment, and the operation. The decision-making process involves an evaluation of each of these risk elements to achieve an accurate perception of the flight situation. Figure 4-5. So the risk elements. The pilot. The pilot fitness to fly must be evaluated, including competency in helicopter currency and flight experiences. Aircraft. Helicopter performance, limitation, equipment, and airworthiness must be determined. The environment, the factors such as weather and airport conditions must be examined. External pressures, the purpose of the flight is a factor that influences the pilot's decision in undertaking or continuing the flight. The situation. To maintain situational awareness, an accurate perception must be attained on how the pilot, helicopter environment, and operation combine to affect the flight. So this is the risk elements to evaluate in decision making. 3 minutes. Let's continue. One of the most important decisions that the pig must make is the go or no-go decision. Evaluating each of these risk elements can help a pilot decide whether flight should be conducted or continued. In following situations, the 4 risk elements and how they affect decision making are evaluated. Pilot. A pilot must continually make decisions about personal competency, condition of health, mental and emotional state, level of fatigue, and many other variables. A situation to consider: a pilot is called early in the morning to make a long flight. With only a few hours of sleep and congested, that indicates the possible onset of a cold. Is that pilot safe to fly? Aircraft. A pilot frequently bases decisions to fly on personal evaluations of the aircraft, such as its power plant, performance, equipment, fuel state, or airworthiness. A situation to consider: en route to an oil rig, an hour's flight from shore. Having just passed the shoreline, the pilot notices the oil temperature at the high end of the caution range. Should the pilot continue out to sea or return to the nearest suitable heliport airport? Environment. This encompasses many elements unrelated to the pilot or aircraft. It can include such factors as weather, ATC, navigational aids, and NAV aid, terrain, takeoff and landing areas, and surrounding obstacles. Weather is one of the elements that could change directly over time and distance. A situation to consider: a pilot is ferrying a helicopter cross country and encounters unexpected low clouds and rain in the area of rising terrain. Does the pilot try to stay under the scud run or turn around, stay in the clear, and obtain current weather information? External pressures. The interaction between the pilot, the aircraft, and the environment is greatly influenced by the purpose of each flight operation. A pilot must evaluate the 3 previous areas to decide on the desirability of undertaking or continuing the flight as planned. It is worth asking why the flight is being made, how critical it is to maintain the schedule, and if the trip is worth the risk. A situation to consider. A pilot is tasked to take some technicians into rugged mountains for a routine survey in marginal weather. Would it be preferable to wait for better conditions to ensure a safe flight? How would the priorities change if a pilot were tasked to search for cross-country skiers who had become lost in deep snow and radioed for help? We'll end right there. That's page 10 of 18, right before assessing risk. So that was 10 of 18. That's your risk management. All right. 10 of 18, chapter 14. See ya.